Did you know this staggering 95% of moms wrestle with the relentless burden of mom guilt? That's right. The overwhelming majority of women find themselves trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and judgment, experiencing this guilt on a daily basis or even multiple times a week. Well, stay tuned as we delve deep into the causes and consequences of this modern motherhood epidemic. And most importantly, discover the empowering solutions that will set you free. Welcome to Parenting Great Kids, where we explore the art of raising exceptional children. I'm Dr. Meg Meeker, your host and dedicated pediatrician, bringing you over 3 decades of expertise. As a father-inclusive parenting advocate, my mission is to empower you with the tools and insights to cultivate greatness in your child. Today, we have an incredible guest joining us, Alli Worthington. Alli is an entrepreneur, author, and mother of 5 boys. She's conducted a national survey on motherhood and discovered that 95% of moms struggle with mom guilt, with more than half experiencing it daily or multiple times a week. Alli's latest book, Remaining You While Raising Them, The Secret Art of Confident Motherhood, provides empowering advice to help moms overcome guilt and find confidence in their parenting. Today, we'll delve into the brokenness of modern motherhood and how moms can prioritize their own well-being while raising their kids. Thanks so much for joining me, Alli.
Thank you. It's great to be here. What a lovely intro.
Well, thank you. I'm very intrigued because you did this national survey and you surveyed over 1,000 moms. And amazingly, well, I guess I shouldn't say amazingly because I'm one of those moms that feels guilty. 95% of women struggle with mom guilt. Why is this happening?
Well, I think that as women, we care so much. I think that when our children are little babies, we do kind of control everything that happens to them. You know, you feel bad if you make one little mistake with a baby, right? And as our kids get older, sometimes we still feel like we can control every little thing. So if it rains outside, we feel guilty about it. You know, if your child's at school and they stub their toe, we go, I can't believe I didn't prepare them to not stub their toe today.
Right.
And I also think that there is almost an industry that keeps women feeling bad about themselves. When I did this survey, I asked women what book on motherhood they had ever read. Most could not give me a motherhood book. Most gave me parenting books. I heard great things about your books. I heard great things about Sissy Goss books. But in a lot of books, women wrote notes and said, this is the book I read, and I felt worse after I read it than when I began, or I stopped reading it halfway through because it made me feel like a failure. So there's just been a lot of bad advice given to moms that have made them feel worse through the years.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And I noticed as speaking to dads, the exact same thing. When dads would often talk to me about being a father, they always started with, well, I know I'm probably not doing a very good job, but, and I think that mothers feel that sentiment too. I think as a mom, you're absolutely right. We feel responsible for everything. And no matter what goes on in the home or with our kids, it's our fault. You know, I would teach my kids to ski, and if they fell, it's my fault. You know, and we sort of wear that. I think too, there might be something else going on. And I think that we try so hard to be good at so many things, and we just can't quite grab onto all those things and be as good as we want to be. For instance, at our jobs, in our friendships, with our kids, with our homes. Did women talk about that at all in the survey?
I'll tell you, I think that not only are we trying to be so good at everything, here's the surprising thing that I found out about mom guilt. the single biggest driver of mom guilt was not ourselves, was not our spouse or our mother-in-law or any of that. It was social media. So not only, like you say, are we so hard on ourselves trying to be good at everything, we will scroll through Instagram and all of a sudden there's a mom sharing her perfect family and even the dog is smiling and they're all wearing matching clothes. And, at home, half of your kids aren't wearing pants, or you have a teenager that's angry and the dog has thrown up on the carpet or whatever it is. So we're scrolling through and we see these images of perfection that we know are curated. We know everyone's sharing their highlights. We know how it works. But still, when we see it and we're living in our own real world, there's something that happens in the brain that goes, other women are getting it right and you're failing. It happens. And I think it's so much harder for moms today than it was 15 years ago or 20 years ago even.
Confession here, I'm not on Instagram. I have a business account and I have people run it. But I got off of my personal Facebook a number of years ago because it did to me exactly what you're talking about. I was so tired of seeing all of my friends talk about how much weight they lost or how well their kids are doing or the college they got into. And you walk away feeling, ugh, I am such a failure at everything. And I thought, this is not okay. I mean, I have a pretty good self-esteem. And so when you turn to a medium that makes you feel worse, leave it behind. The other thing, too, is no wonder the depression rates amongst our teen girls are skyrocketing. And a lot of them are directly linked to social media because it really doesn't do anything good. And I think that you're absolutely right. For some reason, we gravitate at looking at other people's lives and we kind of get hooked on doing it. And yet it makes us feel so bad. So what can we do as moms to sort of say, wait a minute, that's them. This isn't me. This is my life. How can we begin to accept our lives and our kids and ourselves?
Well, I'll tell you something very practical. If you don't want to give up social media, because especially Instagram is such a killer for our mental health. I mean, the research shows the more we're on it, the worse we feel when we're passively scrolling. You need to follow your friends, follow them. But if anyone triggers those feelings in you, just mute them so they don't show up in your feed. Every once in a while, go in, like all their stuff. So then you're being a good friend. But follow what's going to trigger joy. For me, I follow a lot of animal accounts. If there's anything with a sea otter, I'm in it. I'm a roller coaster enthusiast, so I follow all the theme parks. I get tons of stuff of Dole Whips and Disney World that show up in my feed or things that I can learn from. And I've really worked hard to change my feed from people bragging or, here's 5 ways you can be better. I don't want that from social media. I'll get that from an expert. I don't need somebody just because they're cute lecturing me. So I've really just gone through really intentionally the past few months and unfollowed the accounts that are triggering. Because once we recognize this account is triggering, the better, because there are entire business models built on social media around people's personal brands that are built on, look at my perfect family, look at my perfect life. I've grown organic wheat in the backyard and I make their sandwiches with the organic wheat every day. Which the thing is, when we remember, oh, this isn't her real life, this is her business. Then we can go, okay, I forget that there's big business that's driving this. Just like the books that used to make women feel bad as mothers, there's social media accounts. They're not meaning to make people feel bad, but it is a business pretending to be perfect and pretending that your kids are perfect that is driving a lot of income. And as a business coach, I don't fault anyone for it, but it's important that we're honest with it and we can go, that account's not for me. I don't need to be told that I should be doing 10 more things that I'm not doing.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things that I find with parenting books, which is one of my pet peeves as a person who writes parenting books, is that there's a lot of how to do this. But parenting is so much more than that. And I always tell parents, use your gut. Your kid. And many years ago, I learned that from an older, wiser physician that if a mom comes in and says something's wrong with her kid, don't let her out of the room until you figure out what it is, because
Yeah.
that mom knows. She has an internal gauge as to how well her kids are doing. And so I think a lot of times moms need to just trust themselves more and not be looking outward to find somebody who will tell them what to do. And the people who want to tell you what to do everywhere. And
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter how many things you read about what to do, there's never enough. And so you never have the sense that you've gotten it right, and if you bought this kind of a car seat and not that kind of a car seat, and that one's more expensive, then you're not a very good mom because you didn't want to fork it over for a more expensive one. They just feel like it's the wheat thing. It's, growing
Yeah.
the organic wheat. And I really feel sorry for a lot of young mothers. Now, talk, if you would, because you do business coaching, and I don't know if you ever talk about this, but how working mothers can escape a lot of the guilt that they're feeling like, I'm not doing well at work. Well, I'm not doing well enough at work, and I'm not doing well enough at home. And as a working mom myself, I know that feeling, because I feel like, I came home from work with undone stuff, and I left my kids home with undone stuff. And so how do you advise working women?
That's such a great question. I want to start with a little bit of the data about working women or work from home moms or stay home moms. So for remaining you while raising them, what I did is I went really heavy in the data to go, what really matters? Like, and not someone's opinion. I want to know research that's been done for decades with thousands of people. I want to know what matters. And then I also partnered with mental health professionals to make sure that everything that I was saying is something a mental health professionals would go, yes, that's perfect. And some data that I found is that there is no study that says either one is better. Whether you're working or you're working from home or you're a stay-home mom. I've done all three when I was raising all the 5 boys. I was a stay-home mom for a while, worked from home. But there's no study, there's no data out of thousands and thousands of pieces of research that says conclusively either way is better. What matters for women is how we are happiest. Are we happiest when we're working and we get to put on real clothes and we get to get out of the house? That has a real effect on our kids. But the biggest issue for working moms, especially working moms who are working outside their home, is they're not asking for enough help. They're trying to be super moms. It's something my counselor taught me years ago. She said, you will never feel better until you start asking for help. She said, why are you cleaning your house? Why are you going to get the groceries delivered? Get somebody in to clean the house or make your children do the chores. They're old enough to do the chores. And I think that there is something inside of most of us as women where we want to go, I don't need help. If I ask for help, it's admitting weakness or admitting failure. And we tell ourselves, I should be able to do this. I should be able to do massive amounts of work all day. And then I should go home and be Mary Poppins in the evening. And it's no wonder that we're kind of shriveling on the vine trying to do it all. So it's just all of us getting together and having these conversations and going, it is good and smart. And the next logical step to take is to ask for help in whatever step that needs to be. But delegate more at work if you can. Set up some boundaries so you aren't taking on projects at work that you have to do on the weekends. At home, get those groceries delivered. I remember when my business got big enough, I hired a local teenage girl, and she would come in 3 afternoons a week, and my husband and I wouldn't go anywhere. She would just give the baby a bath and fold the laundry so I could sit on the couch. And I thought, I will pay somebody $7 an hour for 10 hours a week so I can sit on the couch with my husband and not have to go get snacks, right? So whatever it is that we need help with, in the book, I call it the power of the magic question, where we get in the habit of women of asking ourselves often, what do I need right now? And honoring the fact that we have needs and kind of giving ourselves permission and empowering ourselves to take care of our own needs and going, these are the 3 areas I need help. Let me go ask for help. It's not weakness. That's wisdom.
It is wisdom, but boy, is it hard because you're talking about me. Because I want to do everything really well. And another confession, I don't have a cleaning person because I'm a control freak and I clean better than anybody, but I also like to clean. Well, folks, we will be back talking about vacuums and cleaning in just a minute. I need to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll be diving headfirst into an intriguing topic with Alli Worthington, the art of disentangling our identity from the all-encompassing role of motherhood. Now, trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. All right, friends, I want to remind you to visit meekerparenting.com. There you'll find a treasure trove of invaluable resources from freebies to enlightening articles, all designed to support you on your parenting journey. And if you're looking for more personalized touch, be sure to check out my individual coaching sessions. All right, we're back with Alli Worthington, and I need to know, how do we disentangle our identity from motherhood?
Oh, it's such a huge topic, right? Earlier, we talked about how when our kids are younger, we kind of control everything when they're infants, when they're babies. And we realize as they get older, we have less and less control. As the parent of a 24-year-old, my oldest now, I'm always reminding myself, I do not have control anymore. But there's kind of that same concept when we're pregnant or when we have an infant. You're kind of one person, even when that baby is a newborn. And then throughout that child's life, as they grow older, we start the process of differentiation, where you are your person, I am my person, and we separate. When we don't separate intentionally as moms and we stay a little bit emotionally enmeshed with our children, our identity gets wrapped up in our children. So as our kids get a little bit older, whether your child is 2 weeks old or 32, the process of going, you're you, I'm me, we're different people, and that's okay, is really important so we can continue to invest in ourselves and not stay overly focused on our kids. Because if when our kids are at school all day and we're at work, we're worried about our kids, unless something big is going on, that's time that we're not investing in ourselves. And one of the big premises of the book is that at least while our children are living in our house, our children are never going to be emotionally healthier than we are. So we want our children to be able to have great boundaries, to give and receive love, to take personal responsibility. We want our children to be emotionally healthy. But if we aren't working on ourselves to be emotionally healthy, we won't be able to model that for our kids. So it's really a process of going, I'm me, you're you, and that's okay. I love you more than anything in the world. You're the great joy of my life. But I need to make sure I'm working on me, because not only will it make for a happier household, it's a great thing for our daughters to model and our sons to see their mothers doing, honoring our needs, taking care of ourselves, and investing in ourselves.
You know, you're absolutely right. And it's not just good for moms. It's, as you said, it's good for the kids. I think one of the worst things that we mothers can do for our kids is to do everything for the worst thing we can do to our kids is to do everything for them. And I've seen this happen with increasing frequency over the past 15 years or 20 years in particular, where mothers feel they need to be so great at everything that they will be great in providing everything to their kids. And you end up with bratty kids. I mean, you end up with kids who leave college and go, well, why aren't you this? And why aren't you that? And you're also raising kids, particularly sons, who are going to be horrible husbands because they're used to having mom do everything for them. And now they expect their wife to, and she can't do it. So why do mothers have such a hard time letting go of their adult kids? And is it harder for single mothers to let go?
Well, I think I not having the experience of a single mother, this is me empathetically taking a guess. I think that the single mothers that I've worked with and I've read their stories of who shared with me, there's so much guilt, whether they are single mothers through divorce or being a widow. There's individual factors for everyone. But again, it's that thought of we aren't in control of the world. That bad things are going to happen, and reminding ourselves, I can't control the world.
Mhm.
Sometimes bad things happen. So I think there's a guilt that's carried there that doesn't need to be carried, because the fear, whatever family situation you're in, the fear that you're going to do something wrong and hurt your child is so strong, of course, that it goes into overdrive, and it makes us over-parent and over-mother.
Mhm.
And it's funny, I talk about in the book the former head of the American College Counseling Association. He was quoted as saying that the kids in this generation that are coming into college are completely unable to deal with the stress of being in college. And it's because we have overloved our children. And, overlove being overdone for
Right.
them. We haven't forced them to get a little grit
Mhm.
and to watch their mothers struggle sometimes, and to watch their mothers go, you know what? I could go to the store for you at 10 p.m. because you forgot your stuff, but I'm going to let you deal with it.
Mhm.
Letting our kids get a little grit and get a little strong is going to be good for them forever. I think about, a tummy time with a baby,
Mhm.
and you have to give your baby tummy time or they're just going to be this blob with no muscle, and they bang their face on the floor and they cry and it's miserable. But that's how our kids get strong. That's the same way we have to let our kids cry and have tantrums and struggle and get a little grit to make them strong. Or else, like you said, you have adult children who can't do anything on their own and are really handicapped in life.
Mhm. Boy, that is so true. And, I think about an example. My daughter was just telling me she has, with our 3-year-old granddaughter, we live around a lot of water in Michigan. And she signed her up for one of these programs, the kids learn to survive if they fall into a pool or off a dock.
Yeah.
Sounded horrible to me. But anyway, I was very proud of her. She signed her up. She took her daughter at age 3, and the instructor threw her in the pool. And immediately she started screaming, "Mom, mom, mom, mom." And then when her mother didn't respond, she started screaming for her brother, and he didn't respond. And I said, "I couldn't have done that, honey. I would have run over and gotten her out of the pool." But she said, "Mom, after 3 days, she figured out that she could survive and get to the edge of the pool." And that's
Wow.
exactly what you're talking about. Let your kids struggle. And even though they're uncomfortable and you want to go in there and rescue them, and I'll be honest, well, maybe it's the grandmother I would have rescued her. I couldn't have stood there. But my daughter's sort of gritty person, and she's tough. But I think that's applicable to really what you're saying here. Don't do your kids' homework. Don't do, all of their laundry. Make them do their laundry when they're 10. I mean, a 10-year-old can do their laundry. Teach them how to cook and do these things, because it's really, really good, not just in helping you, but in helping them become mature, responsible people as they get older. And that makes them feel good. Kids who don't know how to struggle and don't know how to work feel terrible about life. And I've seen that from the kids' perspective. So tell me, when you say that moms need to do more for themselves, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Well, let me start with a quick story. When I was 8, I remember going to extended family members, my Aunt Shirley's house. She had been cooking for days. I knew she cooked for days because she told everyone she cooked for days, And I didn't know what was going on because I was 8. I didn't have the life experience or the understanding to know what's going on. But I knew that even though she was acting happy, she wasn't happy. And I knew that somehow whatever was going on made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't enjoy being there. And whatever it was, I didn't want to end up that way. And I didn't find out until later, after she passed, that she never wanted to cook all that food. She never wanted to do it. So when everyone would come over, she was exhausted from preparing for 3 days, but she never thought that she was worth it. And she never gave herself permission to flag with anybody, hey, maybe we trade houses for hosting, or everybody bring a dish. She never thought that that was okay. She was overperforming and she was making herself miserable and accidentally making everyone else around her unhappy. So that was the big light bulb moment for me when I had kids, because I would go, I don't want the legacy of what women before me had to go through. I don't want that to be me as a parent. So for us as women, if we are making sure that we're taking care of ourselves emotionally, physically, just using the bathroom alone, or making sure we drink enough water, or, getting some time away. When all 5 of my boys were under 10 on a Sunday afternoon, because I love movies, my husband would say, why don't you just go to the movies alone? And I would leave like a Wile E. Coyote cutout of myself on the door because I needed to escape. But taking care of ourselves with whatever that looks like, with that magic question of what do I need right now, and giving ourselves permission to meet our own needs and not suffering because we quote unquote think that this is what a good mom should do. And I've had people say, well, I love your message. I love the idea, but what if I do these things and it makes me a bad mom? What if I become selfish? And I put it this way. No therapist has ever had a narcissist come in their office and go, can you give me some help for being a narcissist? Like, they just don't do it. Bad moms aren't reading this book. Like, a bad mom's not going to pick up this book and go, oh, let me make sure that I'm taking care of myself too, so my children can be happier and I can model this. Good moms listen to this show. Good moms read Remaining You While Raising Them. They read your books. It is not like if we give ourselves a little grace and make sure we take care of ourselves and mother ourselves like we do our kids, all of a sudden we're going to wake up and be selfish. Just the fact that we would have that concern shows you're already a great mom.
Exactly. And the reason you're coming and listening to an interview like this or reading your book is because you're trying to be super mom. So if anything, you need to be reined in. And really, I hear you talking about boundaries. I can see moms thinking right now, okay, but there are a lot of things I like to do and there are a lot of things that I need to do for my kids. Where do I start? So if you could tell moms, particularly young moms, 3 things to get going in this direction where they're sort of peeling themselves off of their kids and letting their kids do more and giving themselves permission to just relax or go to the movies. 3 things that moms can do to get started down this path.
Oh, so good. Number 1 is a mindset thing. We all want to be super mom, right? We all think if I could just do everything perfect, my kids would be better off. But here's what I think. I think super mom would be the worst mom ever. I'm a big fan of Wonder Woman as a moviegoer. She has great golden cuffs. She wakes up amazing. She never gets upset. She's perfect. I love her. But she would be a terrible mom because if she raised children, they would never see someone make mistakes and then have to repair the relationship. They would never see someone being afraid, but doing it anyway. They would never see people getting upset and then having, again, to repair relationships or losing their temper. And they would go out in the world and be completely unable to deal with other humans because they never had to learn about humanity and how we're all people just trying to get it done behind the scenes. They go out in the world from this perfect mom and go, all these people are terrible and have no ability to deal with it. So I think reminding ourselves that if we were super moms and we did it all right, it would ruin our children. The second one is that magic question habit of asking ourselves every day, what do I need right now? I have it on Post-it notes. I have it on index cards. I have it on a reminder that pops up on my phone every day because we get busy. We're working. We're taking care of kids, laundry, and just a check-in with ourselves of what do I need? Oh, I need a date night, or, I need to take a bubble bath, whatever it is, or I need to buy myself something. It can be anything. That's really important because, again, it's recognizing we have needs. It's giving ourselves permission to get those needs met. And sometimes it's just meeting them ourselves and going, this is my boundary. This is what I want to do. And then the third thing is investing a little bit more in our friendships. So the research shows that our family is what gives us this deep sense of joy and meaning to our lives. It's great. I mean, the process of raising kids will grind you down, but
Yeah.
overall, it's really
Mhm.
amazing, right? But it is our friendships with other women that make us the happiest. They are our happiest relationship because we choose our girlfriends just because we like them,
Mhm.
not because we work with them or because we have to be nice to them because it's our third cousin. It's the women that we look at and go, oh, I like you.
Mhm.
So there's this concept I write about in the book called bundling your friend time. If you're super busy and you can't get away with your friends all the time, you want to bundle it. Two women that I spoke to for the book, they work during the day and, they have family stuff at home at night. But every Tuesday night, they prepare dinner at the same time. So they set up their iPads in the kitchen and their AirPods, and
Oh,
they can see each
what
other
a
and they talk,
great idea.
right?
Mhm.
So they're bundling the friend time. So boring everyday activities they do together. Sometimes it's grocery shopping together. Whatever your things that you have to get done are, try to include a girlfriend.
Mhm.
And that's really going to increase your happiness, but also it's good for your kids' development.
Mhm.
One study I found that women with strong friendships, just of 2 or 3 friends, they are actually better. Kids are better developed at age 2 than other children
Wow.
because women need support systems.
Mhm.
So just investing in friendships and also it has to be a friendship where you feel better after you spend time with that person than worse. So I'll add that caveat
Mhm.
there. There's got to be a healthy friend. But those 3 things, that's magic for a mom.
Yeah.
Especially a mom who feels so much pressure from herself. And, we're living in a crazy world. We have to
Mhm.
be really intentional about things
Yeah.
now.
I love that you said that because, the mom who overdoes for her kids is going to be the friend that goes out and finds a friend who needs things. And because we're so used to helping to fix our kids, then we find friends that sort of suck us dry. And I love that you said, find a friend that makes you feel better afterwards, not worse. Because I've seen a lot of women fall into that trap. Oh, well, I need to help this person. She really needs me. And that's, well, you can have maybe one of those, but a friend is there to support and encourage you and vice versa. She's not a mission field necessarily. Well, we only have a couple of minutes left here, and I'm so grateful that you're talking about this. And I'm so grateful you talk about how moms can do this and not become selfish people. One thing I'd like to hear you talk about just really quickly is boundary setting. What does it look like to set a boundary for a mom? And why is it so hard for mothers a lot? Not just setting boundaries for, and for our peers at work or with our kids or with our husband or anything. How do we do it? And why is it so hard?
I think it's so hard because when we have a baby, when that baby is crying and needs us, we are going to take care of that baby. If we had plans and that baby is sick, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
If we are in the mood to watch a movie and the baby has an ear infection and that baby needs to be held for 6 hours at night, we're going to hold that baby,
Mhm.
which is good and natural. But again, that process of differentiation where that same infant that really did control our lives when they were little, it doesn't need to be that way when they're 5. It doesn't need to be that way when they're 10 or 15. And giving ourselves permission to go, no, I am going to take care of myself. And I think sometimes when we talk about self-care, we think that it's bubble baths and getting pedicures, and that's fine. I'm not against bubble baths and pedicures, but I'm talking about a more practical self-care of getting outside and just going outside and looking at the trees for 5 minutes and breathing deeply and getting away from everyone,
Mhm.
or going to a movie, or making sure that we're taking our vitamins, or getting enough water during the day. But also, boundary setting is self-care.
Mm.
So if we're not used to the truth that our kids don't need us to wait hand and foot on them all the time, and that it's actually not good for them in the long term to wait hand and foot, then we start giving ourselves permission to go, okay, my boundary is I'm going to make sure that I'm teaching them responsibility. They're going to unload the dishwasher in the morning
Mhm.
before school, and they're going to pack their own lunches, whatever that looks like for you. So that's only taking care of you, it's giving them practical life skills.
Yep.
So I think where the boundaries really hit well is where it's going to take something off our plate, and at the same time, it's teaching them a practical life skill. When we do that together as moms, it's magic because we'll be in a better mood because we're not just putting our needs up on the shelf and being superwoman and burning ourselves out, but it's also setting our kids up for success because when they are out of our house, they won't crumble.
Right. And that is so, so, so important. Alli, this has been fabulous. I have so enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot. I thought I was doing pretty well as a grandmother, but I need to learn to throw kids in pools and let them struggle. My guest has been Alli Worthington, and her book is Remaining You While Raising Them, The Secret Art of Confident Motherhood. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope that 1 million people buy your book because every mother needs to learn how to take better care of herself. Thanks, Alli.
Thanks so much for having me.